Hey everybody, it's JT. I have what I think is a pretty cool video for you today. I'm gonna try something new. Basically, I'm gonna do a quick review of the Phantom's Revenge dna200 mod by Eric Colvin. Also, I have asked Eric to do a quick video, very basic, nothing fancy, and kind of tell his story. Right? This is something that I've never done in the past, but I've always wanted to. And it would be nice to be able to take trips and really sit down and do one-on-one interviews, but that's not always logical. So later on in the video, we're going to switch over and let Eric tell you his story. He's going to give you some insight into why he started making boxes, show you some of his devices he's made and the progression he's taken. I hope you enjoy it. Make sure and leave a comment. Let me know if you like this style of video, because ultimately I do this for, a little bit myself, but I want to know if you enjoy this style of video. So let's talk about this Phantom's Revenge dna200. So a couple things up front. I'm not going to get into the chipset, the dna200 board from Evolve. I recommend you go to Phil Basardo's channel. He did a very, very nice 3-part series on the board. Not going to get into that. I enjoy the dna200 very much. I really love it. So dna200 is what's running this thing. 1300 mile LiPo battery. Charge port micro USB here on the faceplate. Up and down buttons. Screen and your fire button. This mod is what you would call a C-frame. And that's basically the metal portion here, the structure. It's kind of shaped like a C, or is that backwards? You get the idea. And what really catches you, what this mod really brings to the table is it's stabilized wood and acrylic hybrid. Now, another thing I want to mention, I'm not an expert on these materials, so there might be better words. I'll let Eric touches on it a little bit in his thing, but basically, this type of mod, this type of material is extremely popular, extremely sought after in the market today. And, I'll be honest, it's not extremely cheap. This is, the guys who make this mod, these type of mods are very picky, and they find this really crazy wood and they combine it with different color acrylics or Alumilite and make these really, really one-of-a-kind blocks, and then out of that block comes this somehow. It takes a lot of time. It's not a cheap process. And so the version of the Phantom's Revenge dna200 that I have is an earlier version. During Eric's portion, you're going to see this version and then his most current version. This one retailed at $370 when it was available and new, and I think his newest version is about $450. Now, for everyone who gasped right then or got lightheaded, understand that at its most basic, this is a device that you vape instead of cigarettes. Absolutely. But someone that's really looking for a device like this, it goes a little farther than that. It's appreciating the artistic value. A lot of collectors like to collect these things. And basically, they're one of a kind because of the materials used. So, I don't care if you vape on an Ego, an IPV, or a $40,000 stabilized wood mod. Stay away from the cigarettes, keep vaping, and I'm good. Otherwise, choose what you do. Choose what to spend on your vaping devices. So when I first saw the Phantom's Revenge dna200, I was used to seeing C-frames with a different 510 placement. Normally, I would see a 510 here, kind of at the rounded side of the C-frame, and Eric took it and did it a little different. He put the 510 over closer to the faceplate portion. I wasn't sure how I would like that. Well, it turns out it's a pretty comfortable vaping position, and I've grown to really enjoy it. Battery life, people ask me this all the time. It's so impossible to give you an idea of the battery life with a 1300 mile LiPo. There's a lot of times that I'm vaping at 17, 18 watts. So obviously my battery is going to last a long, long, long time. I'm also in the car a lot. And so I am able to plug this in micro USB and put a quick charge on it. So I'm not really going to touch on battery life. Maybe you know your vaping style. Obviously, if you're vaping anything at 100, 120, 130 watts, you're going to drain the battery extremely quick. So just keep that in mind. You can't swap out the battery on this. It has to be charged through this charge port. So I really want to switch over and let Eric do his part. I'm really happy with the video he sent me. I really think it's going to be refreshing to have a different face than mine talking in these videos. Different perspective, kind of quick glimpse into, you know, the man behind the mod. So check out Eric's portion and we'll come back and close this thing up.
Hey guys, I'm Eric. I'm the knucklehead responsible for the Phantomsrevengemods. And JT, he's given me the opportunity to talk to you guys a little bit about who I am and how I got started in modding and everything like that. I've been modding for about 4 years. I think first time I saw a box mod was on a Rip Tripper's coil building tutorial. I think it was like a HANA dna200 or 30 or something a long time ago. And I was totally obsessed by it. I had to figure out like how to get one of these box mods, like how do I get my hands on it. So I immediately started searching the internet, going through everything I could possibly find, found like their website, found other things. Nowhere could I like buy one of these things. It was driving me crazy. And in my search, I came across this thing on how to build your own OKR T10, you know, 0.5 minimum build ohms, 50 watt max box mod. And, you know, it had a parts list on it and everything, and a video to help you put it together, and it was fairly straightforward. So that's what I did. That's how I got my start. And then from there on out, I was just totally just bit by the bug. I had to constantly be building new mods and, you know, figuring new things out.
So here she is. This is my very first box mod, you know, typical Hammond 1590G box. Really dorky looking potentiometer sticking out right there. And then from then on, I'm a carpenter by trade. My regular job is being an industrial commercial carpenter before I became a full-time modder. So I'm like, well, why don't I build my own wooden box mod? And that's when I first came up with my logo that you can barely see because I didn't plan out the stain and paint scheme very well on this. A little better potentiometer. Just pretend that that's not crooked right there. Pretend that's straight. And then, you know, I did inlaid magnets on the lid. And from there on, I wised up about the color schemes. This one's just a parallel mech mod. And then this one I was pretty proud of. This is like a really compact 26650 mod. You know, mechanical, little MOSFET in it, but it's crazy tiny. You can see next to the next to your typical Hammond enclosure, it's a good 3/4 of an inch smaller, a little wider, but about the same. But I never really put these into protection or into production because I didn't like. There's a magnet in here for a contact. And because it was totally exposed, I thought maybe it could potentially be like a safety hazard if, you know, people were putting it in their pockets, coming in contact with metal key rings, maybe cutting the insulation. It made me nervous, so I never really put it into production.
So after making those, like I knew I kind of wanted to like branch away from like the typical square box, but I didn't really know what to do. And there's one day I was looking at the Mad Carpenter's Instagram, and he had this block of wood, and it had like this crazy like white and blue in it, and I thought it was like, you know, some sort of amber or something that was dried in it, because I'm stupid. I didn't realize that like what it actually was a hybrid block, and I'd never seen anything like that before. And you know, eventually I figured out it was Alumilite, and I'm like, okay, well that's what I got to start working with. And I told Brandon too, like, you know, really my Phantom 200, my Phantom 209, those are really just all his fault, because if it wasn't for him, I would have never seen that stuff.
And so this is what I ended up with, my first hybrid mod, first dna200. And it was cool. I got a lot of really good response from the vape fam, and what I got that was worth its weight in gold was suggestions for improvements, things I didn't even see that were wrong with this mod, but you know, with their input, I'm like, oh well, maybe that could be better. Like a fleshed out 510. A lot of people wanted something different with the face plate. And I took those suggestions and I started making my new prototype for the Phantom 209, which is here. And we got the fleshed out 510 now, fleshed out faceplate, a little more detail in it. And because now the C-frame is CNC'd instead of handmade like it was on the Phantom 200, I can make removable sleeves.
So that's my story. That's where I come from. I want to thank JT for giving me the chance to be heard. And I want to thank you guys for being patient and listening to my story and all my end-ums. I love you guys. Cheers.
So that was pretty cool. Thank you so much, Eric, for doing that. I enjoy being on camera. I know not everybody does, but you did really good. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to add a couple things that while my version is 1300 mAh lipo, the newer version that you saw there in Eric's progression video, that will be a 1400 mAh lipo battery in that. And he wanted to go ahead and have me let you know his next project will be pretty much a slim version of the Phantom's Revenge single 18650 SXJ chip, and it'll run up to 75 watts. Beautiful, beautiful device. You can see a picture of the prototype on his Instagram account. If you scroll around, check that out. Really excited for that version as well. As you can tell, a big fan of this guy and the work that he does. Just want to remind everybody to go to Instagram, The Phantom's Revenge. He's very active on Instagram. You can see pictures of his new and old devices, and he'll announce when different batches are ready, and different lists are going up. So make sure and check him out there. I'll post his email address as well. I've enjoyed the Phantom's Revenge. I do enjoy the stabilized wood look, that style. It's gorgeous. Even if they tried, there's not one that's exactly like the next, and I think that's really, really cool. So decide what's up. You know, if it's out of your budget or you don't care about this stabilized wood, I totally understand. But if you're into stabilized wood devices and you really want to support a cool dude, think about the Phantom's Revenge dna200, and make sure and let me know what you think about this video. Do you like the other perspective thing, or would you rather me just leave them alone? Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.